business would be I lost $400 and quit, and that would be my entire story. And because I kept going, those 3 months became insignificant instead of something much bigger. And I think that this is what stops most artists from starting. You hear the horror stories, you hear about the scams and the wasted money and the months of no sales. And once you accept that problems are a part of the process and not a sign that something is wrong, then the whole game changes. Because if you're sitting there thinking that this sounds too hard and you'd rather just get a job, I get it. And there's nothing wrong with having a job. But I need you to understand what you're actually choosing when you make that decision. When you have a job, someone else decides when you wake up. Someone else decides what you work on and how much your time is worth. And in exchange for that, you get stability, you get a paycheck, and you don't have to deal with all the scammers, the failed ad spend, and the months of no sales. And for the majority of people, that trade is actually worth it. But here's what I watch happen to a lot of people that are close to me. When you have a job, your brain shifts into this mode where the job is the work and everything outside of the job is rest. You get off at 5 or 6, and because you worked all day, your brain tells you that you earned the right to do nothing. So you scroll TikTok, you watch Netflix, you play games, you order food. And that feels good because you're recovering from the workday. And then you wake up the next morning and you do it again. When you live like that, your income's gonna go up 5 or 10% a year as you get raises. But your actual self-development stops. You stop learning new things, you stop pushing yourself, and you stop growing as a person. Because your entire life is structured around recovering from work so you can go back to work. And I've seen so many people around me live that exact pattern for years. They're the same person they were 30 years ago, with the same skills, same habits, same complaints. And the only thing that changed is that they got a little bit older and a little bit more comfortable. And that's the real cost of choosing stability over agency. You remove the risk, but you also remove the reason to grow. So when I started my business, I thought it was about making money. That's what drove me, because I was extremely broke, I was living with my parents, and I needed to figure out how to create my own income, because no one was going to hire me. And 2.5 years later, I'm still struggling to grow this business. But the real thing that happened is that I became a completely different person. Because when you run a business, every problem forces you to learn something new. You have to learn how people think, you have to learn how to deal with failure without quitting, you have to learn patience because the results are always delayed by months, and you have to learn discipline because no one's going to check on you or tell you what to do that day. So if you choose to do nothing all day, your business doesn't grow and nothing happens. And all of those things change you as a person, not just as a business owner. So I genuinely think that building a business is one of the most effective forms of self-improvement, because you can read 1,000 self-help books and be the same person. But when you have a business that depends on you figuring things out, you don't have the option to stay the same. The business forces you to grow, because if you don't, then you're gonna fail. So if you're sitting there right now thinking about starting something and you're scared you might lose money because you might get scammed, because you might spend months working and have nothing to show for it, every business owner I know has been scammed. Every one of them has had days with 0 sales, and every single one has questioned whether or not this was worth it. The weeds are always gonna grow. So the question is whether or not you're gonna build the garden anyway. So let me know in the comments if this video resonated with you in any way, and if you're a business owner, feel free to leave a comment as well about your experiences in building your business. And follow me, because I'm teaching the real stuff that nobody in the art community is talking about. Not just the tactics, but the reality of what it actually takes. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.